I'm going to remove this crease with Paintless Dent Removal, and I'm only going to use 5 or 6 tools, so keep watching to see exactly how it's done. A huge 89% of people that watch my videos here on YouTube are not currently subscribed to my channel. If you like my videos, if you enjoy my content, and if I've ever taught you anything about paintless dent removal, do me a favour, hit that subscribe button right now. It takes seconds to do and it really does help my channel grow. The bigger my channel grows, the more energy and effort I can put into the videos to bring you the very best content pertaining to paintless dent removal. So if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove this rear tail light and just check for access. Thankfully I can get straight behind the dent. As you can see, it's quite a nasty crease. In fact, there's a very fine crease just below the main one. So I've got 2 creases in this section of the boot lid, and we're going to repair this damage today using paintless dent removal tools and techniques. Now I'm going to start by glue pulling the crease. So just gently warming up the panel and the tab. I'm going to apply some hot glue to my crease tab, and then I'm going to place that directly on the crease itself. So I'm lining up the line of the crease tab with the line of the dent. I let that set and cure for around about 10 seconds before using the lifter to gently start to pull out some of the damage. You can see as I line it up and begin just pulling that trigger, you can watch the tab and see the panel start to move. And it just gently starts to pull that metal out, reducing the depth of the dent. As you can probably see, that first glue pull has already started to reduce the overall size of the dent, so I'm going to repeat that same process again. So I'm taking my time to align the feet of the lifter. I want those 2 feet to run parallel to my crease damage, parallel to the tab. And if you watch carefully, keep watching that reflection right in the middle where that tab is, you can really start to see some of the power I'm getting as I begin lifting out more of that dent. So as we assess the repair so far, you can see those first 2 glue pulls I've been able to massively reduce the overall size and depth of the dent. But this is where it gets a little bit more technical. As you can see, I've still got a nasty crease and I'm going to need some pinpoint accuracy working on those low spots to restore this panel. And as I turn my board in a vertical position, you can also see some of the tension to the sides of the dents. So this we refer to as crowns, and with a line board it's where those lines pinch together. So just to the left of the crease and also on the right hand side. To begin reducing this tension, I'm going to use my blending hammer with a nice soft tip on the end and gradually tap along that high line, that crown, and slowly release some of that tension, allowing that metal to flow back in towards my crease. From this angle you can clearly see the crown that runs to the right hand side, so about 4 or 5 lines that really pinch together just here. So I'm going to speed up this next repair and you can watch the tension being released as I tap along the line with my hammer. What I'm trying to achieve here is to get those high pinched lines to spread out and evenly disperse that metal back into my repair area, either side of that crown. If you'd like to learn more about the PDR process and how to start your own business, click the link in the top right of your screen right now to start training with me today. Now that I've released some of that tension that surrounds the dent, I'm turning my focus back to the crease itself. Now I'm going to use my double bend bar because I know that's going to give me loads of power, and I'm going to screw in this little plastic tip, and it's a hard tip but it's not too sharp, so it's going to give me all of the force I need without creating nasty little high spots that are going to cause me problems later on in my repair. So I'll take my time to line the tip of the tool up with the back side of the crease on this particular dent. Now what I'm aiming for here is some real accuracy working just the crease line itself. It is difficult working creases, especially when they're quite sharp. As you want to put the tip on the line itself, it's quite easy for that tip to just slightly slip to the left or right and come off the line. But it's about following the process of PDR, gradually working out that metal without forcing it too much. So I'm looking to just lift those low spots up, and as I begin to create some highs with some of that pressure or being slightly off that centre line, I can then tap down the high spots as I go. This keeps my repair nice and clean. So you can just see some of the tension being released as I use my hammer and knockdown to tackle some of those high spots I've created during the pushing process. So once I've finished removing those high spots, I can then bring my attention back to work on that crease, using my line board to really assess the damage. Now when I do work on creases, I quite often like to tilt my line board to a 45-degree angle. So watch as that reflection changes. It changes to reflection, which means it gives me a different viewpoint, a different perspective on what's left to be repaired. It can look quite messy, particularly on lines, but I find it really helpful to let me see the small areas that are low and the small areas that are still high. So once again with my tool behind the damage, I'm gradually trying to lift up the low spots, work on them individually, and begin grouping that metal back together, reducing the damage. The process does create high spots, it's part of that repair process, but knowing I can knock down the highs that I can create and lift the lows from behind, it's all part of the PDR process of getting the panel to read true. Now in our online training, when I tip this board to the 45-degree angle, I often refer to this as that zigzag reflection. So it creates like a Z or a zigzag right through the lines themselves, and for me that really helps me identify that centre line. As the damage gets smaller, so do the tools that I use to repair it. So I'm now reducing the size of the knockdown to match the size of the highs that are left in the repair. Just as my dent reduces in size, I gradually reduce the size of the tip that I'm using to repair it. So to ensure you've got a nice clean repair when it comes to the finishing stages, it's so important to continually cross-check the damage during that repair process. Now this may look like the same tip, and it is a similar size and shape to the one before, but this one is metal. Now it's still not particularly sharp, but just the fact that it's a metal tip over a plastic one, again is going to give me a lot more force. So I can move less metal with each one of those pushes. Again, I reduce that tip down to match the size of the damage that I'm trying to lift. A smaller tip gives me more accuracy, and it really does come down to having that accuracy to be able to pick out the micro little lows as we draw close towards the end of the repair and those finishing stages. So now from this angle, keep an eye on my body position, just how often I'm moving around, moving my head to assess the different angles, adjusting my line board, really making sure I've got a good read of the remaining damage on this panel. Switching between the process of tooling from behind with a tooltip on my double bend bar, and addressing those highs as they get created, releasing the tension during that repair process. You've really got to keep an eye on the whole repair area and not be too focused on the damage itself, just to make sure you've got a really nice clean repair section of that panel. With repairs like this, I always like to blend out the repair into the existing panel. So I'm making sure that there's any kind of texture in the panel, the repair area itself, is consistent with the texture that's in that manufacturer's paint. And it really helps to give you a nice clean finish with an undetectable repair area. So this damage came out really well and my customer was really pleased with the results. Start your PDR journey today and you can access our training by clicking the square in the bottom left of your screen now.